Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome to Pro Cycling Manager 2022. This is our first look video at the game. Now, the game has just launched. Yes, it has just launched. This is the live launch version. I was supposed to get an advance copy. It didn't come, so I've gotten up. It's bright out in here, but that's because I've got every light on, including behind the camera. Otherwise, it is 1 in the morning local time. I'm not a 1 in the morning kind of person at this stage in life. So we're up early putting this one together, but let's take a look at the game. We're going to look at every game mode that PCM has to offer on this one, except the multiplayer version. So through single player, let's take a look and see what is new in this game and get some initial thoughts on this one. No new game modes this year. We still have the track, we still have the one-off race, we still have Pro Cyclist mode, and of course the career mode. If you are unfamiliar with this series, the standard, the main gameplay is your career mode, where you are taking an entire team and controlling that team season by season in either the Continental, Pro Continental, or Pro divisions. And you can choose to start in any of those divisions, and then you can, if you take a Continental team, for example, you can work your way up tier by tier. In the Pro Cyclist mode, you take on the role of an individual cyclist at the beginning of their career, and you develop throughout. One-off races are as it sounds. It is just picking up an individual race on the calendar, such as the Tour de France. You can pick up one stage of the Tour de France, or you can play the entirety of the Tour de France or any other race on the calendar. And track mode is very niche. There's a lot of people who never even open track mode during the season. Actually, in PCM 21, I did not play track mode even once, but we are going to open with track mode here. So in track mode, we have 7 different variations, rule sets that you go by. And I believe, I don't watch a lot of track cycling, but I do believe this is all of the 7 primary styles in which they ride by. For the sake of brevity, we're going to just do a single race, go straight into the finals, but there are lots of variations on the number of rounds that you can compete within. Equipment is fully customizable, which is really nice on this one, and let's go ahead and get right into an elimination. Alright, now I'm set to auto right now, but the thing is I need to remember how to play this mode, as it's been a long time since I have, and I'm assuming, yes, there we go. Control of effort. Alright, so in an elimination race, the last place rider every 2 laps is going to be under pressure, and we right now are pushing a bit of effort that's putting me up near the top, so we are going to back off a little bit. But on this bell lap, we're going to see this acceleration right now that is going to see, the back end of the field try to overtake the front end of the field. But it's about who is last place as they cross the line. And right now I'm in the middle of the pack. You want to conserve as much energy as possible, and we're nowhere near the back. Well, we are near the back, but not too far back. So it's going to be key in kind of maintaining a nice position, but you don't want to be trapped. It's really easy to get trapped and not be able to overtake. And right now we are going to have to accelerate a bit entering the next one. But all right, here we go. Bell lap. And we're seeing quite a few guys overtake, and this is going to push me up a little bit. And yeah, there's plenty of riders trapped behind me. So it's going to be one of them, not me. But we are going to have to start making our way forward a little bit, I think, on this next lap, and then let ourselves cycle back once. So it is going to use a little bit of energy. I got myself a little too slow there. Going around the outside, attacking for the line. I am in last place right now, even though we are going full speed, and it looks like we are... Wow, that whole thing just sped up really fast. Will I get him on the line? I do not. We are eliminated. Dang. Third bottom. Yeah, not a great result on that one, but it's sped up from here. it's it's been a number of years since I have tried this game mode, the track cycling. Uh, Bell's a little loud for my liking. Sorry about that one. I'm sure it's probably loud for you as well, but they've come a long ways with the track cycling on this one from last time I was really into playing this game mode. Rule set, total understanding, but also knowing that we had to conserve. That first lap I went out to first, didn't want to commit too much energy, and then the entire group quickly just flew past us there. That was unexpected. Now, as we come around to finish this one up here with the final two, it does appear that it's on a different engine than what it was on in previous versions, but I don't know which previous version would be the old engine because I haven't played the track version in 2 or 3 years, so since last time I tried it. And I used to play it a lot in one of the earlier versions of PCM when I first got into PCM, which, gosh, what was that, PCM 12? When I first started playing PCM, so, you know, it's been a good long while. Or does it even go back all the way to PCM 10? I don't remember which was my first version, but it's been more than 10 years for sure now. By the end, that final three in particular looked pretty tired. They did not seem to have much push left. A one-off race is just that, so our next version we're going to look at is Pro Cyclist mode. Rider creation is unchanged from previous years. We're going to take on a sprinter briefly and see if there's anything new in Pro Cyclist mode for this year. As with previous modes, you begin with a selection from 3 teams, all at lower level. So we do have an updated UX, but otherwise this is all appearing to be the same sort of filtered content that you had in previous versions of the game. The rider skills remain unchanged from previous versions. The objective system matches that which was introduced last season. However, your progression tab, I really like the look on what it shows with potential. It gives you your range just right here. So you're seeing what your current attributes are plus what the top end range is. Right now, as a sprinter, we have a 68, 69 with potential at 85. And the new rating system has been transferred not just from the career mode, which we'll get into that when we get over into the career mode, but it is in Pro Cyclist mode as well. So we are 2.5 out of 6 stars. I do like that we have qualities, as in what are the strengths of the rider. In this case, we are a sprinter through and through and have no other strengths at the moment. So gameplay is the same as with previous versions of this game, but I am noticing that the AI is really aggressive compared to previous. Now, I am playing on extreme difficulty here, and of course this is our very first race, and it's a youth race. It's just Cyanide Cup, so these are a lot of young riders out here, but with a 75 or so kilometer sprint stage here, we've got a group that was attacking really hard to catch the last of the breakaway, just a few kilometers. It has lifted the tempo a bit here as we prepare, but this is the last little hill of the day. We have 7K to go. I am not the leader. I was assigned to work that system that existed in Pro Cyclist mode previously, as 4 riders are going clear, including one of my teammates, and that is our favorite of the day. So he is, as a breakaway rider, apparently the top guy. But we are going to have to now, with just 17 riders going clear, and this is that thing. There's aggression. There's a lot of riders pushing late on, trying to make something happen, and instead of really setting ourselves up for a proper sprint. But with 3.5K to go, as a sprinter in a weak field, with only 15 riders here at the front, I've got a legitimate chance of doing something as I come forward now into the driver's seat with 2.5K. But that's using my energy up really fast. I have low stamina resistance as I come out into the final kilometer now, and not much left in the tank for that sprint. So getting out front drained my energy incredibly fast. That is a new system on how it's still the same base. The green bar, yellow bar, red bar are the same concepts, but how it's utilized, in what manner it's utilized, totally different. 7th place here. In previous editions, going to the front at the end like that, I would have had plenty left because I wasn't going full gas. It wasn't 99. I would have had plenty left to then continue on and sprint that final kilometer and probably win this race. But with a low stamina resistance, even with good race day condition, +3, which that has a new slider, so there's a +5, -5 range. That was all there previously, but the impact ratings of it, you can lower the impact, you can increase the impact, meaning you're having a wider range of pluses and minuses. I'm going for the full range this year, but anyway, that +3 you could see is a pretty wild swing. I mean, the minimum was a +1 to any and every attribute that I had. But right as we came in on that finish line, that 2K to 1K point where I went a little bit harder and I went out front and was at, 92, 94 effort, our energy just whoop, zipped away. Even with +5s on it in the low 60s, it deteriorated rapidly. And that is different from previous versions. So now seeing riders make a big effort is going to have a much bigger impact. And that's good to see, because that was always one of the difficult things about a race in previous versions of the game, is when you're on that extreme difficulty and they have those bonuses to their attributes, you'd see a rider attack and then attack and then attack, and meanwhile you conserve, and then you come up on the finish and it's your turn to attack, and no, that rider attacks yet again and rides away and claims victory because their attributes were just crazy strong. It looks like that's not going to be as possible as in years past. If you make a big effort, it's going to cost you, and we saw that as we were approaching the finish. Now, at least for Pro Cyclist mode, the leveling system appears to be the same as in previous years. Same with the evaluation system. Just that one quick little race was enough to get us almost all the way through level 1. All right, so I wanted to get one more stage in as we chase down a few riders trying to attack here very, very late on, going for that breakaway style victory here. And so pushing at 90 effort, we're not gaining right now, so we're gonna have to push a bit harder and see what happens with this lead out. There's still a group of riders, a breakaway that still has not been caught with just 5K to go. There's a good chance that breakaway is going to hang on, but you can see just how quickly Mersman is draining his energy. And apparently, unlike previous years, your yellow bar can recover. It can pretty much always recover, but how fast it recovers and how fast it drains is going to depend on your green bar. At least that's my understanding of the system here early on. And that's good. That's really good. It's how much energy do you have left? How much effort can you give at any given time throughout a race? And you can see Mersman, without the red bar, can't really get up to speed right now. So we're going to have to get on to Human, as we still haven't even caught the front group. The breakaway riders still have nearly a minute over us, and I'm not sure we're going to catch them here. We're going to get that lead out. We'll go for that sprint. If we only take 14th, we only take 14th. 1.3K, so let's start sprinting. Let's get Van Veenendaal sprinting. I have no idea how fast my sprinters are, and it looks like I've gone a little late on the sprint myself. But it is good enough for a top 20 on the day, and figuring this out, getting those adjustments in time will all take place. Breakaway win in the day, though, is a breakaway win. Other than that, I think we were 5th on that stage, which was still less than ideal, and we definitely, Van Veenendaal and myself, could have started our sprints a bit earlier. So it looks like at least the sprint system remains unchanged from last year, but the energy consumption is all happening much faster. You can see just coming in towards the finish, I didn't have a lot left, so you can't go super early. We can just go earlier than we did. 700 meters We could have gone, a little further out than that. But based on that red bar and yellow bar, not much earlier. It looks like 900 meters, maybe 1,000 meters would have been the appropriate time on that sprint. So it is a little different. It is definitely a little different than previous years. So reaching level 2, we're going to take a look at what that leveling system is like now. So we do get the skill point, and we do get the opportunity to increase, and this is the same system as before. So you get to choose what it is you're going to develop in. Of course, as a sprinter, you would want to focus on that in a number of your early levels. And there is that progression, and the skill system, yes, the same. So picking that all works the same. Realistically, the 1-2 variances we're looking at, I would say, for Pro Cyclist mode, one, and this one is the big one, is the energy consumption and usage. That system has been rebuilt, and while it has the same basis, it definitely functions differently, and it will impact how you race, as we've already discovered. The second one is not going to be about you. Your development is going to be the same, but the leveling system for the other riders is going to have been revamped, and we'll see that one as we switch over now to career mode. Team selection setup is all the same. We're going to go ahead and just jump right in with Bora Hansgrohe for this one. Our UX layout is the same here in career mode as a year ago, the revamped system from last year, which I do like. It was a good system. It was a good touch that they added in. But of course, the big thing for this year, besides this revamping, and I think it's going to be a bigger deal. I really do think it's going to be a bigger deal, and how it alters gameplay on how they are addressing the energy consumption. I'm impressed by the work they've done with that, just from a couple quick races there. It is going to change gameplay quite a bit. But anyway, scouting of juniors. This is going to be a totally different system with 6 times as many riders in the database as there were in previous versions of this game. That means a lot more riders year by year that enter the database, with far more riders to scout and far more riders that exit the database. So sifting through that and finding the right rider is going to be huge. Now, for those of you who do follow my career mode, what I'm going to be doing with my series this year is I'm limiting myself to just a single rider per nation. So if I have a French rider on my team, I cannot sign another rider within the nation of France. If I have an American rider on my team, I cannot sign another American rider. The reason why, though the community voted on and ultimately selected that, the reason why I put that in, and I think one of the reasons why it was the one selected by the community, is the fact that that system, this new scouting of junior system, it's going to push that system. It's going to test that system thoroughly. And I'm looking forward to it, because it's going to be easy to scout one nation and focus on that and get every rider in your nation and know them with extreme detail. It's going to be really hard to do that on a wide scale. It's going to be really hard to do that with only one rider per nation. And that's why it's going to be an ultimate challenge, and it's going to really push the limits of this new scouting system, because there's so many more riders and spread out across the world. It's going to be hard to find the diamond in the rough nation by nation by nation, as opposed to taking an English team, an all English team, and going through the numerous riders that you're going to have to select from there. You're going to have a lot of options. Not necessarily the greatest if you have just one nation, but you're going to have a lot of options because the database is 6 times the size as previous years. Let's get to that scouting in a moment. Let's look at the other features and see what is different, what is the same. It looks like sponsorship is set up in the same way. They are assigning it. They are telling you this is unchanged from previous years. And after being introduced last year, the European Championships, but same number of tabs. So there is no North American Championships or America's Championships that have been added this year. So it's still just the Euros. And as I had an American team, I never even got to do the Euros as part of the game last year. So that was disappointing. And as I was spread out with small nations across the world in last year's edition, I never really got to do much with the World Championships either, except for in Pro Cyclist mode. Giro winner Jai Hindley, of course, is the star of the team. I love this new pop-up on attributes, seeing the extremes, right? Getting those low 80s there, the mountain rating 81 for Hindley, the hill rating 77 that he has there, the recovery at 80, and how that pops out at you with the different color scheme. This appears to be one of the most revamped sections of career mode, and this is the rider page. So we're taking a look here at Emmanuel Bookman. Bookman, 29 years of age, still has potential that is untapped. And I love that you get both the current rating and potential rating across multiple disciplines, and that's one of the big features of the game this year, is you can get more diversity of riders as opposed to previous years. I do like how they're showing primary attributes and then physical attributes and then your secondary attributes here separately, and that you're getting the web chart of both current and potential for your riders. I also like how you're getting a lot of information in a neat way that's showing, how many participations in Grand Tours versus how many wins, how many participations in the monuments, objectives for the year. It's neat how they show that. Unfortunately, the option to renew, it's still the same system. Contract system is still a one and done August 1st type situation. That's something I would definitely like to see in future editions to be revamped, as it's too generic, too simple on that. Contract negotiations are something that's ongoing over time throughout a year. That it's not a one-day kind of thing in real life. So after taking objectives to a whole new system last year, or was that the year before, they've now revamped it further, and this is going to be a welcome addition. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, I think, over the next few days, but this new system, there's a lot more that can be done on this screen, where really last year you couldn't do any from the overview screen. You had to go into each individual rider and handle it bit by bit, and this part is unchanged and the same options, the same individual control. But in this overview screen, there's a lot you can do. You can eliminate objectives for riders. It's broken up into 4 quadrants, four parts of the season. You have different evaluation. You have broken up by mountain. You could break it up by bunchy. You could break it up by sprint and control it all through this screen. And oh yes, very welcome, very nice touch. Huge upgrade, and this is going to really help you set your objectives well for your season. Not mentioned, but I think this is important. This is good. Your staff has been split up into different tabs now instead of all being one screen, and now you have your trainers, and for each trainer you're listing the riders that they work with, the evaluation, the potential, and a breakdown of their attributes. That's really good. I think that's a really good touch there. Scouts, and I think this is part of the reason why they decided to split this up, is the scouts now have variation to how that system is going to work. And you can see we have 4 scouts on staff. That's a lot compared to what you would have had in previous versions of the game. Usually you can get by with 2 or 3 scouts and be totally happy with that. Now, the biggest change that the game presented was this new scouting system of much younger riders that increased the database size. And here is that system. So we have our 4 scouts. Right now, none of them have any territories that they are assigned to. And their quality here, and I think this is like the number of points that can be assigned, is what I'm taking this as, and we'll see in a second if this is the case. But a legendary scout gets you additional points. An international scout has 2 fewer points to work with. So I think it has less to do with accuracy and more to do with how much can they handle, how effective, or in this case I would say how quick are they to produce reports. Now, as I already understand, the system is going to come down to stages of detail, similar to how the Pro Cyclist one works in some regards, where you start with no information and then you slowly add that information in. I think it's kind of based on that concept, and you're going to get stages of information before you fully know the potential of a given rider. So you're going to start with, we're on world. Let's try to go by area. Let's see what happens if let's start with Oceania. What do they have? Well, just Australia and New Zealand for Oceania, though there's far more to it. It looks like we have a 4 here. Knowledge of the territory from 0 to 10. So the higher it is, the more effective the scout will be in detecting talent. When it comes to New Zealand, so country by country, you have training structure and popularity of cycling. And this is dynamic, meaning it will change. Popularity part at the least. So if you have a super successful Australian rider, you can push the popularity of cycling up to a 9 or a 10, and we can see it's already high. You should know why that is. For New Zealand, it's not the same. The training structure, the popularity is not as high. My scouts, their beginner knowledge in the region. So let's see what happens if we change the region. All right, so Americas is all one region. You can break it down differently. So we have Central America, Colombia, North America, and South America. It's interesting that Colombia is a region in and of itself. But if we look at, well, let's say North America. So we have the US, Canada, Mexico, and Bermuda. That's an interesting one. Training structure, popularity is a 1. For Mexico, training structure is 3, popularity a 4, Canada 5, and the US 6 and 7. I'd say that's probably fairly accurate. None of my scouts have North American knowledge. Is this because they themselves are all European? Let's find out. Okay, so we're starting in Germany, I think for a good reason. Or Hansgrohe, German-based team. Lots of German riders. Schachmann, Pollitt, Buchmann, Kamna, so on and so forth. So we have a bonus of 2 points in knowledge, thanks to the riders on the team. We have a bonus of 4 points in the territory, thanks to the following riders. I don't know how they in particular give us that. I think this has something to do with the top end bonus, meaning superstars locally. Team HQ adds a big bonus to knowledge of the territory. So the team headquarters is based in Germany. So that's another big bonus to the knowledge of the territory. The work. This is the work that goes into searching, to scouting. Germany, workload of a territory. It's from 1 to 3. The more juniors to be detected within a territory contains, the greater the workload. So meaning if you have a small nation that doesn't regularly produce a ton of talent, the workload's going to be less. Why? Because there's fewer riders to scout. It's 2 in Germany. I would imagine if we were in, say, France, it's probably a 3 there. Knowledge of territory. From 0 to 10, higher it is, more effective the scout will be in detecting talent. I'm assuming this is going to be something very dynamic. The more you scout the territory, the more you're going to know of it. You can see across Europe anyway, 5 is our highest rating. So Germany is our highest rating. Home nation, okay, makes total sense. Training structure, popularity in Germany, 7 and 8. And here we are, choice of scout. Their origin, their country of origin, now matters in the scouting department, at least to an extent, because we have a bunch of European-based scouts that have no knowledge, beginner knowledge of Germany. But the German scout does have a bonus for scouting in Germany. He's already a 5. So if we select him, and that is our first one, we are now looking at the local region, 2 points. Can I scout others? No, it would change that. Okay, so this is using 2 points out of the 10 possible, which means this scout can be assigned to multiple nations where he is going to increase his knowledge as he goes through. So let's say if we switch to Denmark, I like that you can just click on the map and select it. So Denmark, if we continue to add, we're looking at 2 points required, but knowledge of the territory is minimal. We're getting his ranking throughout, and that's increasing. Double efficiency bonus. Scout can detect more riders when he has a reduced workload. Ooh. Okay, so he is more efficient. But how long does that last? Right? We'll find out here in a moment. Are we really going to have to go one by one? We are. I think we're talking about regional, the larger territory. It's the whole territory. Okay. So this is whole territory, not just nation, though each nation has its own individual. So we are, it's territory by territory. So we're looking at this whole realm is Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, all of Scandinavia being scouted by 1 scout. He's still getting double bonus even though we're at 6. Let's see what happens if we add Poland. Losing that bonus. So now he's down to just efficiency bonus, can detect a few more riders when he has a slightly reduced workload. Sure, as we fill this up, he's going to lose that bonus entirely. So as that's full, there's now no bonus. So if you save, let's see what happens if you save just 1 point. Say if we take off Poland, no bonus. So he's got to be down at least a couple points to get a slight efficiency bonus. And he's got to be down a lot to get the double bonus. So this really means you need a lot of scouts. You need to really diversify what you're doing, as we're not going to scout other territories. We're not going to be scouting other areas. With only 4 scouts, you know, there's only so much you can do. So how thin do you spread yourself? Oh, choices, options. Oh, I love it. This is going to be a fun and interesting system. With 4 scouts, we can't even cover all of Europe, even on pretty much max effort. I have a single point left. Of course, that's with 3 international and 1 legendary scout, so that does impact things. But with 4 scouts, we're still left short by a couple of busy regions. The Belgium, Luxembourg, Benelux area, and then Eastern Europe. That's 6 more points required to cover those. We have 1 left, so that's 5 points short. So if we did have 4 legendary scouts, we could just cover Europe and nothing else, which means there's a lot of world left to cover besides that. And 4 scouts can't do it. And that's without any efficiency bonuses for any of them in that matter. So you're either going to need a whole lot of scouts to really cover the whole world, or you're going to have to kind of go bit by bit, region by region, and kind of spread yourself out, spread yourself thin, and not watch continually. It's going to be interesting to see how the system grows and develops in time and how effective you could make it. Oh, okay, game changer, folks. We're a week in, and this scouting thing it's a big deal, guys. It's a really big deal. We have to lock these assignments in for a year. They are locked in on those assignments, and then we're going to get scouting reports throughout the year. So we're not going to know anything. It's irreversible for the season. You are locked in. So you can't move from country to country, region to region, and start getting basic information on some riders and go, gosh, they're not very good. We've seen a little bit of everybody. Let's move on to the next region over. No. You are locked in for the entirety of the year. I like it because it's challenging. I don't know if I like it for realism. Why would I have to send somebody there for a whole year? Why wouldn't I be able to change their assignment after 2 months or a few months or quarterly? That's strange to me that you can't change that. But okay. Scouting is definitely a game changer this year. How it impacts the game, you have to tune in to my series. That is the main points of coverage here. We've got scouting addressed. What type of results? Tune into my career mode to find out. We've seen pro cyclist mode. We've seen the track cycling as well, at least briefly. That is going to do it for this first look of Pro Cycling Manager 2022. I'm going to get this thing edited and put out here as soon as possible. And then I'm going to go get myself some sleep. When I get up, we're going to get set and get started on our career mode. Workshop, not yet available. So I might have to go old-fashioned to get access to the world database for use this season. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.